Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a Q&A and I'm going to be announcing the winner of the Canon AE1 giveaway from the last video. I'm not actually shooting this on my normal camera. I'm going to be shooting this on the Fuji X-T3 that Fuji very kindly sent me to try out for the last week or so. Not going to do another review on it. I'm still seriously debating switching. It's just very difficult to make the decision. So I'm going to do a quick Q&A. I post on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of that to get some questions from people. And yeah, I'm going to go through those and answer the questions. And at the end, like I said, we'll announce the winner of the AE1 giveaway. Alright, so let's get started on the Q&A. I have some questions up on here that I'm going to answer. The first one that popped up was best film camera. So that's a very difficult thing to kind of give an answer to. It all depends on personal preference. Some people like rangefinders, some people want medium format, some people only want a small point and shoot. It's all dependent on your needs as a photographer. Just like digital, some people think Sony's exactly what they need, some people think Canon's exactly what they need, Fuji, etc. They're all different companies, fit different people's needs. But for getting started, first camera, I'd say a really good option is the Canon AE1, like I just gave away. It's just kind of you can get a program one that has full automatic, and it's a really great starter camera to really learn the ropes of film photography and doing everything manually. On top of that, there's ones like the X700 or the Pentax K1000. There's so many different starter cameras. You don't need to go out and spend, $2,000 on a Leica M6 right away, but that is an incredible camera down the road. So I'd say best camera for starting out is going to be something like a Canon AE1. Down the road, once you're doing stuff professionally or doing a lot of film shooting, the best camera is completely dependent on your situation and your needs. So yeah. Next question is, who are your favorite photographers and who gives you inspiration? So it's always changing. I have some people that really inspire me for photo and for video. It's all kind of all over the place. For photo-wise, I'd say some of my biggest inspirations are Andrew Kearns. I love the way that he can just about tell a story with any photo. You go look at his Instagram, everything's kind of all over the place, but it's all a very cohesive body of work, and he always tells a story and invokes a lot of feeling in all of his images. So he's one of them. Sam Elkins, of course, for portraits. He does incredible portrait work. I've been following his work since I started doing portraits. He's part of the reason I got into shooting portraits, actually. I own his book, and I actually just bought Andrew's book as well. Another big photographer that I really like, especially for his editing style, and once again, being able to really tell a story and evoke emotion with his photos, is Forrest Mankins. If you see a Forrest photo, you know it right away. He somehow manages to shoot digital and film side by side and post them together, and you can never tell which one it is. So Forrest does incredible work. And then for people that shoot landscapes and stuff like that, Alex Stroll is a huge one for me, and Chris Burkard, of course. Those are two huge inspirations for landscape photography. I don't shoot a whole lot of landscape photography, but their work is incredible. And then for video, it's kind of all over the place. Once again, Andrew doing his vlogs was a huge inspiration to get into YouTube. Matt Day for his film photography videos. He's the one that got me into shooting black and white film and really got me doing developing my own work. And I've chatted with him a couple times, and he's like a really cool guy. Yeah, that's probably my biggest inspirations when it comes to photo and video mainly. I don't do a whole lot of the cinematic stuff, so I can't really say anyone specific for that. But yeah, those are probably my favorite photographers. And then obviously like local people that I hang out with all the time, Rob, Dimitri, Jesse, a whole bunch of people, my friend Ashley. Those are all really big inspirations to me locally, because I know that I can kind of talk with them, bounce ideas off of them, learn from them, as well as help them out if they need anything. So they're really big inspirations as well. The next question is, if you could only use one lens, what would it be? So I pretty much only do use one lens. I have the 24-70 2.8, I have the 35-1.4, and then the 50-1.8. Oh, sorry, there's cat hair everywhere. I pretty much just use the 24-70. I'm very run and gun style, on the go, so it's nice having that versatility of being able to shoot really wide at 24 and then a little more punched in at 70, and then having that 2.8 all the way through is great for, you know, shooting portraits or anything like that where you need that shallow depth of field, but you're also able to shoot at f16 or f8 or whatever to get that really, you know, sharp image. So that's probably the lens that I would pick if I had only one lens to shoot for the rest of my life. So this one is, what got you into photography? What are your favorite muses, and do you prefer a type of photography? So if you follow me on Instagram, I'm sure you've seen my type of photography that I shoot, mainly portraits. So what got me into photography? So that's actually kind of a funny story that I wanted to share, so it'll be nice to talk about it. When I started photography, it was about 3 years ago. I was trying to figure out what I want to do for school. I had family kind of telling me, you know, you need to go back to school, you need to do something. My wife was telling me to, you know, look at going to school and stuff, just to kind of, you know, do something other than just work away, and, you know. So I decided I am going to apply to a bunch of places. I've always had an interest in photography ever since I was young. Same with YouTube. I had a bunch of YouTube channels when I was a kid with video games and stupid skits with friends and all that kind of stuff. So I finally decided, you know what, I'm going to apply to journalism, and I'm going to apply to photography. Mainly because they gave me a camera, and I was way too cheap to buy a camera myself. So I applied to those two programs. I got accepted into the photography program, and I actually got accepted into the journalism program as well. I had also applied to their film, like their film television program as well, which I got denied for because my English mark wasn't high enough. But I got accepted into journalism, so that made no sense to me, but, you know, whatever. I decided, you know, I'm going to go with photography. It's kind of the same idea as video. I can learn video along photography, sort of. And journalism, I wasn't a huge into the writing aspect, you know, considering my English mark. So I went with photography. I did the 2-year program at Niagara College, and yeah, I mean, the rest is history. I got into photography that way. I was kind of just pushed into it. When I started photography, I loved concert photography. That's all I wanted to do. I was really inspired by people like Adam L. Macias and a few other photographers that shot just concert photography. After realizing that there's not a lot of money in it and it's really hard to do, you know, contacting bands, last minute gigs, all that kind of stuff, it was very difficult, and there wasn't enough kind of return for it. So I kind of jumped into photography and portraits and commercial photography that I did through school. So that's pretty much how I got into photography. As for my favorite muses, I'm going to assume that's people to work with. I have a few friends I've worked with quite a bit. Annie, who helped me out with the video, has been an absolute pleasure to work with. She was modeling for the film video, and then she also modeled with me a couple times previously. I have a friend, Michelle, that I met through school, who has been really nice to work with, and a friend, Katie, that I've worked with a lot. A lot of the people that I've worked with and shot with, I met through school, and it was pretty much just friends. Never anyone that was a professional model or anything like that. I always just kind of used friends because it was nice and it was an easy way to make things more casual, and I'm not much for the super posed look. I like it to be a little more like natural. So. And then, of course, my wife. I love shooting with my wife. She's come a long way. She was very uncomfortable in front of the camera at first, but now over time she's become a lot more comfortable. So I'll leave a link to her Instagram and everyone else's Instagram, including my inspirations and their YouTubes and all that stuff. All of that will be in the links in the description below. So, yeah. And then, do you prefer a type? So, I shoot mainly portraits. I love landscape photography. I love commercial I love just about every kind of photography, to be totally honest. And I don't really like street photography. It stresses me out a little bit too much. So, but yeah, portraits is mainly what I do. I want to transition more into lifestyle. So stuff like Forrest and Andrew Kearns do, where it's very much more telling a story and less of, here's a person with a background. It's more, telling a story. So that's what I'd like to do more of. Best and worst photo you've ever taken. So it's going to be hard to really answer because I didn't actually think about it. But what I'll do is I'll flash my worst photo right here, which was probably from when I first started or pretty early on to starting. And then I'll flash my best photo right here, which is probably a more recent one. The big thing is you're constantly growing. So looking back at my photos from 3 years ago when I first started, I hate them all. And then looking at the photos I just did for my recent shoot, I'm going to love them because they're the newest thing, the most recent work that I've done. And then in a couple months, after a couple more shoots, I'll look back at the shoots I just did recently and I'll dislike them even more. So it's a never-ending cycle of liking your work and then not liking your work. So yeah. How to take better photos. Ooh. That's a difficult one. How to take better photos. Because I'm still learning. The biggest thing is lighting and composition. Those are the two main things. You can have an image with an incredible composition, but if the light's terrible, it's not going to look great. Or you have an incredibly lit photo, but if you totally botch the composition, it's not going to be a great photo. It's really finding a way to have those two work together in tandem to make a great image. And don't be afraid to try and break the rules. A lot of people will tell you on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or online anywhere, these are the rules of photography, this is what you have to do. Which is really what school kind of drills into you. These are the rules that you have to do. Learn the base of the rules, and then once you learn the rules, break them. That's best advice I can give you. So, yeah. How to be more confident shooting. So if you watched my last video, and if you watched my vlog, you know that I'm not confident in the slightest. I'm very awkward. I actually did a podcast with my friend Dimitri talking about how I have pretty bad social anxiety and how photography has really helped me with that. Still not very confident. It's very difficult talking to models, especially new people that I've never worked with. That's why I generally work with friends because it's easy to just, chat, talk about life and all that kind of stuff. Whereas with the new models, it's kind of, a lot of the time it's down to business and this is what needs to be done. I like working with friends because it has that more, a natural feeling to it. So to be confident, it's basically you're both there to do a job. Don't be rude, don't be bossy, don't be creepy. Just tell them what you need and tell them that you're open to any ideas that they have, and it'll be really easy because once you kind of establish that baseline of here's what I'm looking for, here's what I need from you, they'll generally be like, okay, this is what I need from you. And then it's just kind of discussing back and forth and talking and getting ideas and play music, all that kind of stuff, just to kind of make it a more, more open environment, if that makes much sense. So, yeah, that's my answer to that. What cameras I've used. So, I'm going to do a video later on in the future around gas. For those of you that don't know what gas is, it's gear acquisition syndrome. Because a lot of people I say, hey, you know what, I have gas, haha. They're usually like, the hell are you talking about? Like, I don't need to know that. So gas is gear acquisition syndrome. So I've jumped around a bit. When I started, school gave us a Nikon D7100 with a couple lenses. That was the kit that they gave us. I shot with that in September through December. I used the kit that the school gave us. Now, when I get into something, and I really get into something, I go wholehearted into it, full send, that's it. So by December, I had gone to my local Henry's and I picked up a Canon 5D Mark III. I got that with the kit lens, the 24-105, and then I bought a 51.8 because it was super cheap. I used that through second year of school, and then continued to use that until last November. So last November, I picked up the Canon EOS R. I used that until January, I'd say. January rolled around, sold the Canon EOS R, and I picked up a 5D Mark III again. I just wasn't a fan of the whole mirrorless thing. It was hard to kind of wrap my head around. Just was not enjoying it. Shot with the 5D Mark III that I had for about another month and a half. And then I bought the EOS R back again. So it was a whole situation there. I've shot with the EOS R since then. It's been almost a year now. Well, not quite. Almost a year since I got the first one. So I'm shooting with the EOS R. In between that, I've tried the Fuji X-T3. I've tried the Fuji X-H1. I've tried the D750. I've tried the D850 from Nikon. I've tried the 80D. I've tried the 6D. I've tried the 5D Mark IV. And I've tried the EOS RP. Now, a lot of those are just because of where I work. I'm very fortunate to work at Henry's, where we're able to just, test gear out. I have not played with any Sony cameras yet. Probably down the road, I'm going to take the A7 III out or the A7R4 out when it comes out and play around with it. But I'm already thinking of switching to Fuji, so it's a whole issue. So, yeah. In between that, I've used the Pentax K1000. That was the first film camera I've ever shot. I borrowed that from my professor from Niagara College. I've shot the Canon A1, of course, the Minolta X700. I've shot the Leica M6. That's my main go-to camera, or was my main go-to film camera. I've shot an RB67. I've shot a Mamiya 645. I've shot two Mamiya 645s. I've shot a whole bunch of film cameras, basically. That's kind of been my middle thing. But right now I'm shooting with the Canon EOS R 24-70 35-1.4. That's my main go-to kit. Other than right now I'm shooting with the X-T3 because I lent my R out to a friend and I have this laying around, so I figured I should give it a shot and see how I like it. And then the final question I got is, tell us about film photography and how it's different from digital photography. So, totally different beasts with the same concept. Basically, you shoot an image. The difference between film and digital, you take the image, you can look at it and go, oh, okay, this is what's wrong, this is what I need to fix, take another image. Generally, you're shooting RAW, or even if you're shooting JPEG, you generally get a fairly flat color profile on all your images. Film, you shoot the image, you go to look and you go, oh, okay, I'll see it in a week or 2 weeks, or however long it takes you to finish the roll and send it out. The biggest thing about film, like I said in my last video, is it really requires you to slow down and think about everything, because every time you take a photo, it's costing you pennies. Every frame costs money because you're paying for the roll of film, and then each shot takes a piece of that film out, and then on top of that, you're paying to get it developed. Played with any Sony cameras yet. I refuse to because everyone's jumping ship to Sony, and I know that if I try it, I'm probably going to love it and I'm going to jump to Sony. And I do not like the images that the Sony produces. That's a whole other story. Probably down the road, I'm going to take the A7 III out or the A7R4 out when it comes out and play around with it. But I'm already thinking of switching to Fuji, so it's a whole issue. So, yeah. In between that, I've used the Pentax K1000. That was the first film camera I've ever shot. I borrowed that from my professor from Niagara College. I've shot the Canon A1, of course, the Minolta X700. I've shot the Leica M6. That's my main go-to camera, or was my main go-to film camera. I've shot an RB67. I've shot a Mamiya 645. I've shot two Mamiya 645s. I've shot a whole bunch of film cameras, basically. That's kind of been my middle thing. But right now I'm shooting with the Canon EOS R 24-70 35-1.4. That's my main go-to kit. Other than right now I'm shooting with the X-T3 because I lent my R out to a friend and I have this laying around, so I figured should give it a shot and see how I like it. And then I think there was one more. Where the heck is it? And then the final question I got is, tell us about film photography and how it's different from digital photography. So, totally different beasts with the same concept. Basically, you shoot an image. The difference between film and digital, you take the image, you can look at it and go, oh, okay, this is what's wrong, this is what I need to fix, take another image. Generally, you're shooting RAW, or even if you're shooting JPEG, you generally get a fairly flat color profile on all your images. Film, you shoot the image, you go to look and you go, oh, okay, I'll see it in a week or 2 weeks, or however long it takes you to finish the roll and send it out. The biggest thing about film, like I said in my last video, is it really requires you to slow down and think about everything, because every time you take a photo, it's costing you pennies. Every frame costs money because you're paying for the roll of film, and then each shot takes a piece of that film out, and then on top of that, you're paying to get it developed. So you could spend $15 on a roll of film and $15 sending it out to get it developed, and then end up with absolute garbage, and that's $30 basically down the drain. But if you really sit and you think, okay, the lighting looks good like this composition is nice, these settings are what I need, all of that really makes you slow down and think about everything more than just firing 100 shots on a 64 gig card, going back home, throwing them in Lightroom and being like, this is the 1,000 photos I have, I like this one. So that's the biggest difference between film and digital. And then on top of that, there's so many film stocks that you can pick from. They give you different looks, different color casts. You can overexpose film significantly and still have a really, really usable image. Underexposing, not so much in most cases, whereas with digital, it's generally more acceptable to underexpose your image than it is to overexpose it. If you watched my last video, which I'll have linked below, I talked about all those kind of differences. So yeah, that's about it. Just a few questions that I had. I figured I would make a quick video just to get something up on YouTube, also so that I can announce the winner of the Canon A1 giveaway. So you could spend $15 on a roll of film and $15 sending it out to get it developed, and then end up with absolute garbage, and that's $30 basically down the drain. But if you really sit and you think, okay, the lighting looks good like this composition is nice, these settings are what I need, all of that really makes you slow down and think about everything more than just firing 100 shots on a 64 gig card, going back home, throwing them in Lightroom and being like, this is the 1,000 photos I have, I like this one. So that's the biggest difference between film and digital. And then on top of that, there's so many film stocks that you can pick from. They give you different looks, different color casts. You can overexpose film significantly and still have a really, really usable image. Underexposing, not so much in most cases, whereas with digital, it's generally more acceptable to underexpose your image than it is to overexpose it. If you watched my last video, which I'll have linked below, I talked about all those kind of differences. So yeah, that's about it. That was the Q&A. Over the last week or so, I've been sick, so I wanted to get a video out, just something really easy. I figured this would really work. I was sick for my birthday, just turned 25 a week and a bit ago. Sick for Thanksgiving. It's been pretty crazy, but yeah. So thanks for checking it out. Thanks for everyone that sent out the questions. Now talking about the winner of the Canon A1. The contest ended today, October 15th at noon. I drew the winner, and the winner was Charles Kyer, if that's how you say it, I'm not sure. I believe his Instagram is Fire and Pines. I'll leave that in the description below for you to go check out his work and stuff. Really, really excited to send this out to him. Hopefully he shoots the rolls that I'm supplying real quick, gets them developed, and I'd love to see what he does with it. So that'll be pretty cool. I want to do another one of these probably come New Year or holiday season, hopefully. I'll try and do another giveaway and get something going. I have a nice little shelf full of film cameras, so maybe I'll be able to, give one of those out, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, thanks for checking out the video. I really appreciate it. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll hopefully have another video coming out in the next little bit, work on some stuff. Like I said, this was shot on the Fuji X-T3, which I'm trying out, using the face tracking autofocus and the Atrana profile and all that good stuff. So fingers crossed that the video turns out. And yeah, that's about it. So thanks again for checking it out, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.